How the pramana begins and ends, even though I am repeating it, it is these things that play, that give depths in understanding the Shastra. Siddhantam makes a difference, not just details. Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apa. Siddhantam. Principle. So, how the Shastram begins and how the Shastram concludes is a clean clue for me to find out its topic. You see? And the second Shadlingam is Upapattihi. Kind of reasoning it adopts. That reasoning is Upapattihi. Upapatti means logic. But logic not based on sense data, but based on direct experience. Anubhava. Not Anubhava that is to be gained, but Anubhava that already is. That Anubhava that is. There is you don't gain Anubhava, that is a bluff. You don't experience. You don't work to experience. Experience is already there. You make an effort to understand the experiences. Vedanta helps one to understand his obtaining experiences. Vedanta helps man to understand the obtaining experiences. If this Vakya is clearly followed and seriously understood, means a lot. A student, that gives straight away relaxation. That means I don't have to make an effort to get something new. I have to only understand what is old. जो है उसको समझना is what is leisure. जो नहीं उसको बनाना, that's called struggle. The very definition of struggle is that. You can't feel the struggle without thinking, I have to achieve what is not there, I have to accomplish what is not there, I have to reach what is distant. Without really thinking wrongly, you can't feel the struggle inside. You can't feel the struggle inside because the struggle has a logic. And that logic is, whenever I see, well, there is something beyond, I have to reach in time, creates a struggle. I have to create what is not. I have to create something, it's a struggle. I have to change something, it's a struggle. The idea I must change is a struggle. The idea I must reach is a struggle. The idea I must create is a struggle. And the idea that I must reform something is a struggle. And you minus these four ideas, you can't feel a struggle inside. Understand? You can't feel a struggle. How? Supposing there is, then the minus these four things, supposing the Vedanta, if you understand what Vedanta is telling, hey, there is no need to create something new, there is no need to create, there is no need to reach, there is no need to reform, there is no need to change, etc., etc. All that is there, the experiences you already have, look at them. Just understand what you already, look at what you already have. Look at what you already have and what you already are. Where? There is no struggle. Because struggle is not arbitrary. Struggle has a logic. And what is the logic behind the struggle? I must think terribly wrong to feel the struggle inside. It is not easy. I must think terribly wrong. I must think wrong to feel inner struggle. If there is something I have to reach there, struggle. I have to reach a place, struggle. Pata nahi kya hoga, kab pahunchunga. I must change, it is a struggle. I must create, struggle. I must look different, I must become different, I must look different, become different, reach something, anything is a struggle. Why? Because it's full of uncertainties. In creating something, there are uncertainties, there is a struggle. In reaching, there are uncertainties. In any karma, in any new accomplishment, there is a struggle. But supposing I don't have to reach any place, just even you can do uhab. I don't have to reach any place, I don't have to create anything, I don't have to change anything, I don't have to reform anything. All that I am already there, I have to look at. Where is the struggle? तब तो सन्यासी हो गया. That is called sannyasa. I don't have to do anything. जो मैं हूँ उसकी I have to just look at myself. Vedanta says you don't have to do anything. And Vedanta even थोड़ा ताना भी सुनाती है. ताना मालूम? जब विद्यार्थी ठीक से समझता नहीं है तब वेदांत क्या करती है? ताना सुनाती है. वो ताना क्या है? काम बहुत कर लिया, बहुत पहुंच गया, बहुत बदल दिया, बहुत जो करना बहुत कर लिया. अब आराम से बैठ के अपने आप को लुक एट योरसेल्फ. कुछ बनाना, हाँ बहुत बना दिया, काफी है. बहुत जगहों को पहुंचना, बहुत ट्रैवल करना है, बहुत ट्रैवल कर लिया, काफी है. You have done enough. और आगे थोड़ा और ट्रैवल करने से क्या सिद्ध होगा? All right, you have been traveling the whole life. One more round world tour. क्या फर्क पड़ेगा? Thus, upapatti. I am repeating this. Upakrama, upasamhara, and the second is upapatti. The logic based on the obtaining anubhavas. Then the third is the arthavada, abhyasa. The third is abhyasa, repeated emphasis. And the fourth is arthavada. Arthavada means the Vedanta, it does the stuti and ninda. It praises the non-duality, it praises the self, it praises the self as free, and it runs down the Dvaitam. It praises the Advaitam, thereby giving me a clue that Advaitam is the truth and Dvaitam is false. Because Shastram doesn't run down the truth, praises the truth. It sings in praise of the oneness. It sings in praise of oneness. And it runs down. Mrityosa mrityum apnoti yaiha naneva pashyati. The one who sees the division goes from death to death. And the one who sees the oneness is liberated. In this manner, there is stuti of oneness and there is ninda of the anekatvam dvaitam. That's ninda stuti both together is called arthavada, and tatparyam is elsewhere. Tatparyam is really finding out what is true. Meaning what? It becomes a clue for me to determine what the Vedanta is talking. Upakrama gives me a clue, Upasamhara gives me a clue, the logic gives me a clue, the emphasis gives me a clue, it's Arthavada gives me a clue. And the fifth is the Apurvam. Apurvam means what it talks should not be the topic of my senses. It should not be available for my eyes. If Vedanta says something which is also available, which I can see through my eyes, then why should I go to Vedanta? Anyway, I can use my eyes. Vedanta doesn't have to come and say the Ganga Jalam is cold. Vedanta says that Ganga Jalam is cold, therefore it is cold. Ganga Jalam, you can go and touch it. Supposing, you don't get, clear. If you need to verify it beyond doubt, to go and take a long dip. Go under Ganga Jalam and please give instructions to somebody to keep you underwater for at least half an hour. And give him strictest instructions not to allow you to come out. That will be a verification beyond doubt that Ganga Jalam is cold. अगर उसके बाद भी अगर डाउट हो तो गंगोत्री के पास जाओ, वहां पर जाके टेक ए टिप. Hey, what is available to my senses need not be the topic of Vedanta. ये बात अच्छी तरह से पकड़ना. What I can understand through my senses, I need not understand it through Vedanta. Bas. Like physics, I can understand through my senses. I don't have to go to Vedanta. Don't say Vedanta talks physics also. This is another than some of the, what we call, the Hindu activists. The Hindu activists, those who are some of the Hindus, who try to think of, they try to tell Veda has got everything. They say physics and all that, Veda is only, it is a pramanam in the matter of Jagat Karanam. When it comes to physics, sense organs, this is what is called apurvam. Number one, apurvam means the Vedanta Vishayam, the subject matter of Vedanta, should not be available for the sense organs, or sense data based logic, or sense data based presumption, or sense data based anupalabdhi, or the sense data based upamana, all the 5 pramanas. Because sense data is used to arrive at things in 5 ways. One is pratyaksha. I use the senses and directly perceive, this is fire. I see the fire as fire. This is called sense perception. But I don't see the fire, but I see only the smoke, then it becomes inference. I only infer fire. This is called anumana. And I gave the example for arthapatti. I see a person not eating by day, but still goes on putting on weight, which means must be eating by night. Chup chup ke bhojan karte honge. Chup chup ke. That is what is called artham. Otherwise not. Arthapatti means anyatha anupapatti. Lest it should be impossible. उसके बिना तो ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता. अगर दिन में नहीं खाते हैं, अगर रात में भी नहीं खाते हैं, तो फिर ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता. तो अगर दिन में नहीं खाते हैं, इसका मतलब रात में जरूर she must be eating, and therefore otherwise it would be impossible. This is called anyatha, means otherwise. Anupapatti means untenable. It would be untenable otherwise. Putting on weight would be untenable unless one ate. If he did not eat by day, then he must be eating by night. This is what is called presumption. I presume the person must be eating by night. This is called presumption. Slightly different from anumana. These nuances you have to see. उसमें आनंद है. Nuances में आनंद है. जीवन की nuances में आनंद है. Nuance is just means what? The very essential things. They look like really, they're all very essence, the essence. Therefore, the anumana is something which, in presumption it could be otherwise also. There is always, I presume he must be eating by night. That is called presumption. Then sense data is also used to appreciate the absence of things. Like what? I see man, but I don't see man's horns. Man doesn't have horns. Then what is the proof? If he had, I would have seen. Because absence you don't see through the senses. Sense organs cannot be used to see the absence. बहुत बड़ी बात है जी. Sense organs are used only to see the presence. I use the eyes to see the presence of the form. We use the eyes to see the presence of the form. But we can't use the eyes to see the absence of the form. Therefore, if there is absence of a form, that is not direct sense perception. It's a peculiar thing. Well, I don't see it. If there were a form, I would have seen. This is what is called anupalabdhi, non-perception. Upalabdhi means perception, anupalabdhi means I don't see it. I don't see. That I don't see, I see. That's a different matter. I see that I don't see is a different matter, but to begin with, I don't see it by senses. So I see a man, but I don't see him having horns. If he had horns, I would have seen that appreciation of the absence of objects is called anupalabdhi. Upalabdhi means perception. Anupalabdhi means non-perception. It becomes a pramana, sense data based, sense organs based, sense data based pramana, anupalabdhi. And the last pramana, the fifth pramana is upamana. Upamana means it can just, give you some knowledge. It can give you some knowledge. Like, so you don't know a person and somebody gives a description of that person. He happened to be a good person. And then he gives an example. So my husband is Satya Harishchandra. I have a husband who never tells a lie and who never hurts me, who never tells a lie, and he is Satya Harishchandra. But there is a difference between Satya Harishchandra and my husband. Satya Harishchandra sold his wife and children. My husband is Satya Harishchandra, never sold me. But anyway, coming back to the point, Satya Harishchandra gives you some idea. Comparisons do bring about some knowledge. Comparisons do bring about some knowledge. This is how we convey, we communicate. We communicate. Comparisons we communicate. Similes we use and then we communicate. This is called upamana. Upamana means, simile, comparison. It's like, you see, he is, Kamala Nayana. His eyes are like lotus leaf, the leaf of a lotus. Eyes are not like lotuses, but eyes are always like the leaf, a petal, a lotus petal. If eyes are like lotus, my God, you will become terrible. You will get scared. Somebody has eyes like lotuses. Oh my God, you will get scared and you will run away. But the eyes are with lotus. Padma Nayana means Padma Patra Nayana. Padmaksha means Padma Patraksha. Patra is there. That only means he is good looking, that's it. Simple. Thus we have sense data based perception, sense data, direct sense data. When I see sense data, that is perception. Based on that data, if I make an inference, it is anumana. Based on the same data, if I make a presumption, it is called arthapatti. Based on the same data, I appreciate the absence, then it is called anupalabdhi. Based on the same data, if I can really get some knowledge, communicate some knowledge, then it is called upamana. But all these pratyaksha, anumana, arthapatti, anupalabdhi, upamana, All the five are based on sense data, pratyaksha based. Therefore, all the five have to be counted as one, and that is pratyaksha. Once we say pratyaksham, it includes anumanam, arthapatti, anupalabdhi, upamana. And what is available for pratyaksha, anumana, arthapatti, anupalabdhi, what I can appreciate through pratyaksha, through anumana, through arthapatti, through anupalabdhi, should not be the topic of Vedanta. Vedanta should be something different from sense data, and that is only the subject. The observer of the five, the observer of the seer of the sense data is not one of the is not something that is objectified by the senses. Not only that, the world is sense data. The world is available for sense perception, but the source of it is not available for sense perception, because the source of the sense object, the universe, the source of this sense object cannot be another sense object. It has to be the very subject. Therefore, Vedanta becomes a pramanam in the matter of Jagat Karanam and in the matter of that Jagat Karanam being the very subject. Ye do cheez hai ji. Vedanta becomes a pramanam in the matter of Jagat Karanam and in the matter of that Jagat Karanam being the very subject, which is not available for Pratyakshadi Pramanam. This is called Apurvam. See now, your understanding of the word Apurvam becomes very profound. Apurvam means what? Even though in translation it is unprecedented, Apurvam does not mean not something never before. It is not something which is something like the one never before. It's not like that. Unprecedented. Aisa nahi. Apurva means like the form is available only for Chakshu Pramanam, no other Pramanas. In the same manner, the subject matter of Vedanta is not available for any other Pramanas. That is what is called Apurvam. Advaitam is Apurvam. Jagat Karanam is Apurvam. Atma as Brahman is Apurvam. And if it is talking about that, then it is Pramanam. If Vedanta is also talking about what is available for sense organs, if it talks about physics and chemistry and music and dance, this is all what? This is all Pratyaksha based. Ye kya baat hai ji? Vedanta should not be talking these things. Thus, Apurvam is one of the Shadlingas. That is a clue for me to determine the topic. Then the last of the Shadlingas is Prayojanam. The benefit of this understanding what Vedanta is telling. When I appreciate objects, I don't get liberated. When I appreciate objects directly through the eyes and ears, I don't get liberated. When I appreciate objects through inference also, I don't get liberated. When I appreciate objects through presumption, doesn't liberate me. Or Anupalabdhi doesn't liberate me. Or Upamana doesn't liberate me. But appreciating what I am, appreciating the world doesn't liberate me, but appreciating the subject liberates me. That is Prayojan. Appreciating the subject, understanding the subject doesn't have the same result. In fact, understanding the world creates only desires. Vishaya Jnanam only leads to Vishaya desire. The more you appreciate the objects and nuances, appreciating the object means what? Appreciating its nuances. The more you have attraction for it. किसी लड़की को जितना देर तक देखोगे ना, उतना दिमाग खराब हो जाएगा. हाँ जी, और क्या, एकदम. Similarly, if you look upon any enjoyable object, the more you look at Rasagulla, keep looking at Rasagulla, दिमाग खराब है. And therefore, the what we call, the more you appreciate the details of the world, I am not talking about the temporariness of the world, the details of the world, the colorfulness of the world, the more you appreciate, the more you get attracted. The more you get attracted. Therefore, the Vishaya Jnanam only keeps one in bondage. Vishaya Jnanam keeps one in bondage. Whereas Vishayi means the subject, the knowledge of the subject should liberate. Therefore, the Prayojanam is different. Understand, appreciating the subject has a different result from appreciating the world. Appreciating the subject has a different result from appreciating the world. This is what is called Bhinna Prayojanam. It is a Bhinna Prayojanam. It is a different result. It is not any other prayojanam. Because the very word Prayojanam, because the customary meaning of the word Prayojanam is different. The customary meaning, Prayojanam is always material. Whenever you talk to a person about utility, usefulness, benefit, usefulness, utility, benefit, usefulness, benefit, usefulness, utility, etc. When you use this word, the customary meaning that comes to your mind is material benefit. What else? What else is the? Or emotional benefit, thoda mental satisfaction. Material benefit. Able to world, some emotional benefit. I tell you, even emotional benefit is nothing but material benefit. I will tell you how. It is better to give out these secrets. Even emotional benefits are material benefits. So when your son is very happy, when your daughter is very happy, you are happy. That is called emotional benefit. What else? Emotional benefit means what? You are happy when your near and dear ones are happy. Bas. You are unhappy when they are unhappy. It's something like that. Therefore, similarly, you will be happy when your daughter is happy, but your daughter will be happy when she has material facilities. Therefore, ultimately, कहीं ना कहीं किसी ना किसी रूप से linkage है. Therefore, the word benefit, even though that's not what Vedanta means, benefit is always in the form of fullness of the being. Fullness of the being is the usefulness, the real usefulness, the real benefit, the real utility is always the fullness of the being. But man always thinks of it as material. And therefore, the Prayojanam of Vedanta is something different from what man understands by the term benefit, Prayojanam. Bas. Because in Karma Kanda, Prayojanam is Loka Prapti. Loka Prapti is Prayojanam. Vitta Prapti is Prayojanam. Putra Prapti is Prayojanam. कुछ भी नहीं होगा तो कम से कम जाया प्राप्ति is Prayojanam. Some Prapti is Prayojanam. But यहाँ पर तो it is not, is neither Putra Prapti, nor Vitta Prapti, nor Loka Prapti, or Jaya Prapti, no Prapti. Is Prayojanam here, understanding, coming back to oneself is the Prayojanam. Therefore, the Veda, the benefit of studying Vedanta, the benefit that one derives from the topic of Vedanta is totally different from what man understands by the word benefit. You see, now I'll tell you, I'll give you an example. Why Swamiji you are dilating on these points? एक बार आपने बता दिया, बस हो गया. वो तो ठीक है जी. You are satisfied, but I am not satisfied. What can I do? What can I do? I go by what I think. I'll give you another example. Like Sushupti, when a person goes to, man craves to fall asleep. In order to be benefited or in order to be harmed? When a man really craves to fall asleep, definitely he sees some benefit. Definitely one sees some benefit in falling asleep. I am sure people are making palatial houses. Palatial houses man makes only for getting good sleep. Nice houses. So much of money one spends to get a good night's sleep. In fact, he invests more money on his sleep than on his waking hours, I am telling you. Because the whole day he is out somewhere, he has got taken a small little room for his office, somewhere in Gurgaon or in Connaught Place, one room in which really he can't even put a bed. Maybe just a couple of chairs and a table is there, such a small thing. And the whole waking state he is there. He is almost like, he's sitting cramped, huddled he is existing. Huddled, he is going through some kind of huddled existence. He makes a lot of money there and makes a beautiful house in South Delhi, an excellent bedroom, vagera, vagera. And all that he does is he comes back in the night at 10 o'clock and straight away goes to sleep. That means the whole house that he made is for what? Sleep. That means he earns money by the day to invest it on sleep. That means sleep is beneficial. Is it material? Is it material? Therefore, the benefit that one goes through, the benefit that one derives in sleep, the benefit one derives in sleep is not material. In fact, that is the real benefit. Where the struggle ends. Where the struggle ends. Where the thought resolves. Where the memory resolves. Where all complexes resolve. Where the biological identity, these distortions end. Where limitation ends. Where limitation ends. One just once closes one's eyes to all one's imperfections and remains peaceful. And in that peacefulness there are no imperfections. Because it is freedom from all felt shortcomings. One's own shortcomings come to an end. One transcends one's shortcomings, one transcends one's failures, one transcends one's frailties, one transcends one's problems. Whatever problems one has, one is free from problems. So, is it a material benefit? In fact, that is the real prayojanam. And that is what is the topic of Vedanta. Discovering that even in the waking I am the same. Whatever I am in Sushupti, the same I am in Jagrat. Like the wave is understanding, before I became the wave, I was water. Even when I am looking away, I am water. That's called understanding. Even when I am looking away, I am water. Even I am looking an individual, I am the same being. Even I am dreaming, I am the same being. Even I am awake, I am the same being. Even with thought, I am the subject. Without thought, I am the subject. And the subject doesn't have any limited dimension. Subject is something in which the whole object is rooted. Object cannot be parallelly existent. Parallel cannot be alongside the subject. It is not parallel. It doesn't run parallelly to the subject. To explain how the objects don't exist parallel to the subject, to explain it, the Shruti, it gives its own orthodox examples. Very beautiful, I think one has to appreciate it. Very beautiful examples like Ratha Chakram, like the wheel, all the Yatha Rathana Bhav Araha Iva. He says, it is like Ara means spokes, Ratha Nabhi means a wheel, and there is a Nabhi, the center, the hub, and all the wooden spokes are all fixed to that hub. In that manner, is the whole creation fixed to the subject. ठीक है जी, example, और क्या? Example. It gives so many examples. Maybe some examples work with some examples work. Even though all of them convey the same truth, but yet, कभी कभी किसी को समझ में आ जाती है. That is also true. Everybody says, well, that particular point I like, that particular point I like. If you tell them Ramayana, and each one has got, that particular, Bharata meeting Ramji, it touches me. What about other things didn't touch you? But somehow or other, that is true. That particular thing is really touching. And Kausalya and Kaikeyi trying to make her own son, that is disarming. Everything is, but different people are touched by different episodes. In life also, different people are touched by different events in life. Different people are touched by different events. If one is unfortunate, he is always encountering, very, very, disarming events. In the sense, very, very hurting events. And some are touched by some good people, some are touched by some are touched by Ravana, some are touched by Ramas. It all depends upon Prarabdha. And therefore, here also, objects are not parallel to the subject, and therefore the benefit of understanding the subject is Bhinna Prayojanam. I am coming back to that point. The Vedanta Prayojanam is Bhinna Prayojanam. That Bhinna Prayojanam means it is something different from what man thinks by the word Prayojanam. That is what I wanted to convey. It is a different Prayojanam, means it is something. And not only that, Bhinna Prayojanam. Vedanta's Prayojanam is Bhinnam. Vedanta's Vishaya is Bhinnam. Vedanta's Adhikari is Bhinnam. The student of Vedanta is different from the student of Karmakanda. The subject matter of Vedanta is different from the subject matter of Karmakanda. Karmakanda means, it's all universal. It is karma. Karma is Karmakanda. Doing and achieving. Doing and achieving is called Karmakanda. Karmakanda is not in the books. Karmakanda Karta, the individual. God, even if there is, I'll ask you a question. Just now that the topic has come. Now, I'm asking you a question. An action, I see a table, a thing that is already there. I don't author space. I see it to be there. I don't author air. We don't author air. We only see it to be there. We don't author fire. We only see it to be there. We don't author water. We only see it to be there. We don't author the earth. We only see it to be there. In that manner, do we see action to be there? Do we see an action to be there? No. Action we author. Action is non-existent unless it is authored by us. Whether it is a laukika empirical action or religious action or yajna like Vaidika ritual is not a reality that is there. A ritual is a ritual only when I perform it. An action is an action only when I do it. Otherwise it doesn't exist. Therefore all the rituals are authored by the Jiva. Purushatantram. How can man author actions because he has the capacity to perform action. And in order to perform any deliberate action, he requires two faculties. One is the faculty to determine, the other is the faculty to choose. To understand what is called intellect. And like you see, determining means nirdharana shakti. Nirdharana shakti means, well, the cause, when I perform an action, it has a result. There is an effect. In order to get an effect, there has to be a cause. In order to get the result, I have to do an action. There is a cause and effect relation. Appreciating the cause and effect relation in this creation, appreciating causation is called Nirdharana Shakti. Nirdharana Shakti. And having appreciated that this leads to this effect, then I choose to do it. That is called really the choice. That is what is called Purusha Tantra Vyapara. That is called Purusha Tantra Vyapara. The first thing is Vastu Tantra Jnanam. And the second is called Purusha Tantra Vyapara. Intellect is Vastu Tantra Jnanam. Like clapping, say clapping creates sound. Or tilling the land, sowing the seed, raising the crop will give me food, grains. Appreciating this law of causation is called the Vastu Tantra Jnanam, means seeing the truth as it is. Seeing the reality, whatever reality, physical reality or physical reality. Seeing a reality, seeing a relation, seeing a causation. That is called Vastu Tantra Jnanam. Maybe it is physical Vastu, but it is Vastu Tantra Jnanam. I am not doing anything, I am only seeing a reality there. This capacity to see a reality is called Buddhi. And then having seen that, then I go about doing it. That is called Purusha Tantra Vyapara. Beyond these two, there is nothing. And therefore, all actions are the results of these two faculties. All karmas are the results of whatever action, whether it is laukika. If a person is doing a work in the field, if a person is a farmer, he depends upon these two capacities, the capacity to see the causation and the capacity to perform the action. Similarly, the entire world of industrialization involves these two capacities. Hey, if I do this, I get the result. There is a causation between this and that. And therefore, having seen that causation, then I go about doing it. That is called Purusha Tantra Vyapara. And if it is Vedic rituals, also the same thing. Even though I don't see it, the Veda says, hey, this is the cause, there is an effect. If you want putra, there is another kind of cause. Some kind of a ritual. If you want Vitta, there is another kind of cause. Another. That knowledge, not another kind of even cause, that jnanam that I don't, because it is adrishtam, because I don't see it, but Veda comes and says, there also Veda is also really teaching man to perform the rituals based on causation. What is Sadhya Sadhana Bhava? Causation. Sadhya Sadhana Bhava, this is the means, this is the end, means what? Causation. Now those rituals are not realities. Those rituals are authored by man. Purusha Tantra Vyapara. That is why Bhagavan Shankaracharya gives excellent language. A reality is that which is bhutam. Karma is that which is bhavi. It is bhavi, means hone wala. It is something that is brought about. A fact is what is. An action is what is always brought about in time. Even though action is authored by us, I want you to hear this point. If you miss it, you will miss it for the whole life. If it's gone, it's gone. जो गया वापस नहीं आता है. इतना आसान नहीं है. Action is authored by us, but the faculty to determine and the faculty to choose is not authored by us. I find myself with it. I am born with it. That is why it is called yajna. God creates man along with the capacity to understand and capacity to do. That is yajna. God creates man. Saha yajna praja srishtva purovaja prajapati. Their yajna should be translated only as dharana shakti, Nishchaya Shakti and Purushatantra Vyapara. Of course, when God created man, He created also the rituals, but what is the use of that entire information in Karma Kanda if man did not have the capacity to understand Sadhya Sadhana Bhava and also Purushatantra Vyapara? Therefore, what is it that man should use to grow? What is it that man should use to grow? Only two things. One is Nirdharana Shakti. One is Buddhi, the other is Manaha. I am using the word Buddhi in the sense of determining what is what. The capacity to determine what is what. What is the cause, what is the effect, what do I want. Determining what is what. Like the entire science is determining what is what. And Manaha, let us translate it as the choice. Then, based on that knowledge, I decide my course of action. Deciding my course of action is in my hands. That is called choice. Therefore, our entire growth is on the basis of Buddhi and Manaha. And that is Yajna. And there, the same Buddhi that we use to survive, the same Buddhi we can use also to appreciate the limitation of what we get from the world. The same Buddhi we use to study Vedanta and understand the truth. We don't get another Buddhi. Capacity is the same. Topic changes, faculty remains the same. Able to follow? It's like one is a physics professor. A physicist suddenly changes his topic and becomes, let us say, an astrologer, an astronomer. Becomes not astrologer, an astronomer he becomes. Or some computer engineer or some becomes a medical doctor. That makes a better contrast. A physicist suddenly changes his topic and becomes a medical doctor. That doesn't mean really he has got a new intellect for it. The same intellect, the same thinking capacity which he used for understanding physics, he uses it now for understanding the medical science. Why? Because causation. And similarly, the mind that can appreciate the causation that is there can also appreciate the causation that is not there. The individual who can appreciate causation can also appreciate truth and error relation. Pointed out by Shruti Pramanam. Otherwise, the mind always goes after cause and effect. It always thinks in terms of causation, cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect. But when Vedanta comes and says, hey, between the truth and the universe, there is no cause and effect relation. Cause and effect relation is there inside the creation. But the creation as a whole and its source between them, there is no cause and effect, but there is truth and error relation. That is also appreciated by the same capacity. Therefore, from first step to the last step, what can help man? His own capacity to understand. Nothing, nobody can save man except his own buddhi. I am telling you, nobody can save man. In fact, everybody has to save himself. That is what Bhagavan says. Hey, I have created God says, I have created you along with the yajnas, means along with the capacity by which you can save yourself. You better save yourself. No, there is no savior, please. In fact, Krishna, let us look upon Krishna as a savior. What did he do? Did he save Arjuna? Do you know what he said? You better save yourself. Then he becomes a pramana. Vedanta Pramana doesn't save man. Vedanta Pramana teaches man. And by way of understanding that teaching, man saves himself. Bas. Vedic culture does not, we don't look upon Bhagavan to come and save us. We always expect Bhagavan to come and teach us. Teach us. Whereas in other some of the things, say, I don't have to do anything. God's Son comes and then He takes all of our sins. This is something else. This is a sluggish philosophy. This is just, passing the buck. This is passing the buck. All your sins you hand over to the first Son of Bhagavan. Hand over to the first Son of Bhagavan. That is all headache. Therefore, coming back to the point, the buddhi and manaha are not authored by us. We are born with mind and intellect. And all that Bhagavan says, make use of it. Therefore, the last prayojanam, coming back to the point, upakrama upasamhara upapattihi abhyasaha arthavadaha apurvam and prayojanam. The benefit is something different. Karma kanda. Benefit is different. Clear? Therefore, the student for Vedanta is bhinna adhikari. The subject matter is bhinna vishayaha. And the sambandha is a bhinna sambandha, pratipadya, pratipadaka sambandha. And the prayojanam also is bhinnam. What about karmakanda? Commonplace, commonly known. Who is the student of karmakanda? The one who wants to have material happy, sukham. Vishaya sukham, bas. Who is the student? We say kami, the one who has a desire for material objects, not a virakta. Virakta is anadhikari. A sannyasi is not qualified for karmakanda. Why? He has got vairagya. You understand, Just, he is not qualified. Similarly, the subject matter is, there it is karma, here it is atma. And sambandha, there it is cause and effect. Here it is revealer and revealed, means here you don't have to do anything, understanding what is. There it is reaching what is not, reaching what is away. Okay, what is the prayojanam there? Non-eternal temporary pleasure. And here it is eternal peace, freedom from the struggle. Thus, Shadlingas are there. These Shadlingas are going to be very useful for understanding any Shastram. I spent some time here, 2-3 classes, and in the countless number of classes for years, what is 2 classes, 3 classes? Would be nice. If that can, those 2-3 classes can highlight, make clear one point. Even 10 classes can really throw light on one point, and if I see, yes, that is true, I have gone a long way. I have moved a lot closer to the truth. Okay, this is over. Now comes we will begin. Sadeva Saume Idamagrasit. First you see Sadeva. This is called the Prakriya. The Prakriya begins. How does the Prakriya begin? It tells Sadeva. So it is beginning with Sat. This Prakriya begins with Sat. Eva alone. Sadeva alone. Evakara is meant to exclude anything else. Means what? Nothing else. Eva means alone and nothing else. Sadeva. Sat means what is. Even though the idea of being the source, the Sat is the source. But what is the meaning of the word Sat? Sat happens to be the source of the creation. That's a different matter. But what is Sat? Sat means Asti. Arouse. Asti. Asti means to be. To be. To be. even to get an idea of, even to understand what it is like just the being in contrast to doing. Being in contrast to doing, in contrast to thinking, in contrast to get some, to think, to do uha poha, to imagine, to be imaginative enough to see the difference between being and thinking and doing. That's important. To be, that is called Sat. And that is applies. Now this table is, I can't say, because it is seen to, even though we say it is seen to be, the being doesn't belong to the object, because the object boils down to the subject. Therefore, the being is not the quality of the world. It's an appearance in the being. It's an object of thought is not synonymous with the being. To be an object of thought is a kriya, is a part of doing. To be an object, to be objectified is a part of doing. Thought is a part of doing. The identity of being a thinker is all that volition to think also is a part of doing. Therefore, if there is something called Sat, it is not in the form of an object. It is not in the form of the thought of an object. It is not even in the form of the identity of being a thinker of thought. Even the identity of being a thinker of thought is not the Sat. And when the thought resolves, the object of thought resolves, the thinkerness also resolves, then what is there is only being. Being is not to be also, I am going to spend some time on this word Sat. Therefore be prepared. Sat does not mean, being does not mean just stillness. Stillness, that's not being. Stillness again really is a very, very commonplace term. We somehow or other use the word stillness for the being. Stillness is something, it is brought about. If there is something stillness which is not brought about, then really that is only the subject which cannot, the stillness that cannot be broken. It is not just a stillness, it is the stillness means to be. It is not like, the mountain is still. Let us look at this particular thing, this word stillness. The mountain is still. I want you, this is an excellent meditation. Meditation means an excellent way of understanding the truth. When you think of the stillness of the mountain, what is happening? You become still. You become still. You become still means what? The mind resolves. And what remains is only the serenity of the being, which is not brought about. Only the mind resolves. Only the mind resolves. Then what remains is the being. Therefore, what looks like the stillness that belongs to the objects actually belongs to the subject. Stillness cannot be even the attribute of the object. Stillness, even as thought of by a layman, belongs to the subject. Stillness as stillness with any definition of it. Stillness, the meaning of stillness, it is not an attribute of the world. Stillness viewed in any manner is the nature of the subject. Still, that is why when people go and look at the mountains, mountains are still, and when they go and look at the still mountains, what happens? The jadoo, the magic that happens is they become still. They become still means not stillness is brought about, just the disturbance of the mind resolves. The movement resolves. When the movement resolves, don't think the stillness is brought about. No. The movement resolves. The movement resolves. Then what is there? Only stillness. That is the truth about the subject. The movement resolves. Therefore, people go to the mountains not for experiencing the stillness of the mountains. In fact, when they go to the mountains do the magic on the mind, and that magic is the mind resolves, then you only feel the stillness of it. That is why many people go and sit on the top of a mountain with eyes closed. Just be quiet. What are they experiencing? Stillness of the mountains or the stillness of their being? आंख बंद करके कहाँ माउंटेन को देख रहे हैं जी? उधर जाके आंख बंद कर लेते हैं, आराम से बैठते हैं, आई एम एंजॉयिंग माउंटेन. वेयर आर यू एंजॉयिंग माउंटेन्स? आंख भी बंद कर लेते हैं, कान भी बंद कर लेते हैं और डिस्टर्ब मत करो आराम. What is there? There is only stillness of the being, and stillness of the being is nothing but, that is the nature of the being. That stillness of the being, that is Sat. That is Sat. That stillness is always of one's being. Stillness is experienced only as the attribute or the nature of one's being. This particular phrase has to be worked on. You don't experience silence or stillness in the creation. Stillness is not a part of the creation. Silence is not a part of the creation. Serenity is not a part of the creation. Why? Because creation has 5 objects. Either it is a form, or a sound, or a taste, or a touch, or smell. और कुछ है ही नहीं. Silence is not a sense object. Supposing silence also were a part of creation, God would have given me another sense organ through which I would see silence. Is there like that? That means silence is not a part of creation. And everybody knows, everybody does experience silence. Therefore, the experienced silence is not a part of creation. It is himself. The experienced stillness is not a part of the creation of himself. Thus, the stillness, the being as is, the being, one's own being as is Sat. That is the actual meaning of the word Sat, Asti. And that happens to be the source. That is a different matter. That happens to be the source. That is a different matter. But to begin with, Sat means what? Is. What always choicelessly is. And that happens to be the source of the truth. What is happens to be the source of all that is. Sadeva.